Nationwide student protests intensify, with notable incidents at Northeastern and Columbia University. Approximately 100 arrests at Northeastern after a pro-Palestine encampment was cleared. Anti-Semitic acts were reported. Columbia University is facing a federal lawsuit after several pro-Palestinian students were suspended during their protest. The lawsuit alleges that the university's actions were discriminatory and violated the students' civil rights under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Protesters at Harvard replaced the American flag with Palestinian flags at University Hall, leading to further protests. Tensions escalate at Stanford University as a peaceful march devolves into a scuffle, drawing in police crowd control measures. Representative Ilhan Omar visited protesters at Columbia, expressing support for their right to organize and speak freely against perceived injustices. More than 280 anti-Israel demonstrators were arrested at Columbia University and City College of New York overnight in a massive NYPD operation. 109 people were arrested at Columbia after the university requested police help to remove a destructive mob that had illegally taken over Hamilton Hall late Tuesday. NYC Mayor Eric Adams blamed the on-campus chaos on insurgents with a history of escalating situations and trying to create chaos rather than peaceful protest. Columbia President Minuch Shafik, facing calls to resign for not cracking down sooner, said the violence had pushed the university to the brink. Shafik recently testified before Congress and refused to say if the phrase, "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," is anti-Semitic. Over 100 Columbia professors signed a letter defending students who support Hamas military action. On Monday, pro-Palestinian protesters defaced two statues of George Washington on the campus of George Washington University in Washington, D.C. One statue was draped with a Palestinian flag, covered in stickers reading "End the Genocide, Free Palestine." The Students United Will Never Be Divided, and Anti-Fascist Action, and had a black and white scarf wrapped around its neck. Genocidal Warmongering University was spray-painted on the base of this statue. Another statue depicting Washington riding a horse was also vandalized, with Free Gaza and DC stands for Liberation spray-painted on its base. Protesters set up an encampment on the university lawn, pitching dozens of tents, including food and medical tents, and knocked down metal barricades put up by police. According to GWU, approximately 200 protesters from the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia area, including professional organizers, activists, and university students, have joined the unauthorized encampment on campus as of Sunday. According to a review of financial records, more than $5 billion in taxpayer dollars were given to Ivy League schools through sponsorship, grants, and contracts in fiscal year 2023, while another $2.1 billion went to other prominent schools that have recently had anti-Israel rallies. Ivy League schools, including Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Columbia, UPenn, Brown, Dartmouth, and Cornell, have been the scenes of some of the most high-profile anti-Israel unrest. Republican lawmakers in the Senate and House are calling for the removal of federal funding for schools that refuse to meaningfully address the situations on their campuses. In fiscal year 2023, Harvard received $676.1 million, Princeton $403 million, Yale $776.8 million, Columbia $1.2 billion, Penn $955.6 million, Brown $173.7 million, Dartmouth $133 million, and Cornell $736.3 million in federal funding. The House of Representatives passed a major anti-Semitism bill on Wednesday, which would crack down on anti-Semitism on college campuses amid ongoing nationwide protests. The bill, introduced by New York Republican Representative Mike Lawler, passed in a bipartisan 320-91 vote and will now go to the Senate. 21 Republicans and 70 Democrats oppose the legislation. The legislation seeks to make the Department of Education adopt the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Semitism when enforcing the 1964 Civil Rights Act on college campuses. The alliance defines anti-Semitism as a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews, and includes rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and/or their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. Those who oppose the bill contend that it will infringe upon freedom of speech. Florida GOP Representative Matt Gaetz, who voted against the bill, stated anti-Semitism is wrong, but this legislation is written without regard for the Constitution, common sense, or even the common understanding of the meaning of words. President Joe Biden referred to close U.S. ally Japan as xenophobic during a Washington, D.C. fundraiser on Wednesday, just weeks after praising the U.S.-Japan alliance at a state dinner. According to an official White House transcript released Thursday, Biden argued that Japan, along with India, Russia, and China, would perform better economically if they embraced immigration more. Why is China stalling so badly economically? Why is Japan having trouble? Why is Russia? Why is India? Because they're xenophobic. They don't want immigrants, Biden said. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre clarified on Thursday that Biden was attempting to make a larger point about the U.S. being a nation of immigrants, and that he was making a broad comment about Japan and India. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said he wasn't aware of any communications between the White House and the governments of Japan or India regarding Biden's remarks. The president's comments come less than a month after he hosted Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida for a state visit, during which he said Japan and the U.S. share the same values, the same commitment to democracy and freedom to dignity. According to New York University, more than half of the protesters arrested were outside agitators. The NYPD arrested 133 individuals at NYU, with only 65 being current students, faculty, or staff. This follows the NYPD and Mayor Eric Adams claiming that a significant number of the 283 protesters arrested at Columbia University and City University of New York were also external actors. In other news, Shiraz University in Iran announced a scholarship program offering free tuition to American students expelled due to their pro-Palestinian protests. Also, the student editors of the Columbia Law Review demanded the cancellation of exams, citing trauma caused by the police presence during the clearing of the unauthorized encampment. At Portland State University, anti-Israel protesters charged at police with makeshift shields made from trash bins, but were quickly thwarted. UCLA saw at least 132 demonstrators arrested during a raid on a barricaded encampment. And at Brown University, demonstrators and administrators reached an agreement to disband the camp in exchange for a meeting to discuss divestment demands. A congressional hearing on Wednesday exposed glaring inconsistencies between a GOP report and statements made by EcoHealth Alliance President Peter Daszak concerning his organization's involvement in funding controversial research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, WIV, before the global health crisis. Daszak denied knowledge of any connection between the WIV and China's military, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, despite a declassified DNI report documenting such links. EcoHealth Alliance also faced scrutiny for failing to submit a crucial Year 5 progress report to the NIH by the September 30, 2019 deadline. Daszak claimed they were locked out of the NIH system, but an NIH forensic audit could not verify this claim. Significant discrepancies were found between the initial draft and the final version of the report, which was submitted nearly 2 years late in August 2021. Furthermore, Daszak vehemently denied accusations of EcoHealth Alliance engaging in gain-of-function research, challenging the subcommittee members' definitions while claiming he lacked a personal definition himself.
The Internal Revenue Service announced plans on Thursday to significantly increase audit rates for wealthy taxpayers and large corporations using funds provided by the Democrat-backed Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. The audit rate for taxpayers earning more than $10 million is expected to rise by 50% from 11% in 2019 to 16.5% in 2026. The Internal Revenue Service also plans to triple the audit rates of large corporations with assets over $250 million and increase the audit rates of business partnerships with assets over $10 million by tenfold over the 7-year period. Internal Revenue Service Commissioner Danny Verfel has repeatedly reassured that audit rates for American households earning less than $400,000 a year will not exceed 2018 levels. To ramp up audits, the Internal Revenue Service is hiring accountants, engineers, economists, data scientists, attorneys, and tax experts and has added about 11,000 full-time positions since 2022. The Internal Revenue Service is also investing in improving its technology using artificial intelligence to help select businesses to audit, and it says it has recovered $520 million from millionaires who have either not filed their taxes or failed to pay their tax debt.